Let's talk supply chain. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk Supply Chain. Now, before we begin, I always have a question for you. Now, Home Depot, the world's largest home improvement retailer, uses today's guests to improve driver safety. So, by what percentage were they able to lower total claims in only 1 year? What do you think? Well, let me know your guesses over on social and keep listening because I'll let you know at the end of the show. Now, today, I'm joined by a company that is on a mission to improve the safety, efficiency, and sustainability of the operations that power the global economy. Who are they? Well, it's Samsara. Now, Samsara is the pioneer of the connected operations platform. This enables organizations that depend on physical operations to really harness IoT data to develop actionable insights and improve their operations. And today, I'm joined by Kiren Sekar, Chief Product Officer. Now, Kiren has held software engineering and management positions at various startups, as well as super brand Apple, and was VP of Marketing at Meraki, now part of Cisco Systems, where he helped grow the business from $5 million to over $500 million in annual revenue. And today we're going to be talking all about Samsara and what they do, unifying operations to achieve greater visibility, cutting costs through improved utilization, and harnessing trillions of data points to drive intelligent AI that really makes an impact. Whew, this is going to be a good one. So welcome to the show, Kiren.
Thanks for having me, Sarah. Really excited to be here today.
I am so excited to have you on the show. Now, this is the first of 2 episodes that Let's Talk Supply Chain are doing with Samsara. And so I'm really looking forward to laying the foundation with you today and sort of getting to know Samsara, who you are, what you do. So let's dive in. But first, I want to know a little bit more about you. So can you introduce yourself, share your background, because you've worked in businesses from startups to Apple where you earned patents for your work. And so you've really experienced a real breadth of the industry. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, I'm a technologist first and foremost. I started my career as a software engineer at Apple, as you mentioned, and have worked in many different industries and environments, building technology products, and now today leading teams. I lead our product design and engineering teams here at Samsara. And, for me, what has always motivated me is solving hard technical problems that have a big impact in the world. And I feel is incredibly blessed to have discovered this world of physical operations, including supply chain, that historically was really underserved by technology. You didn't see Silicon Valley startups building cutting edge technology for all these industries, even though they're so incredibly important. And been able to spend the last 11 years of my life with an absolutely incredible team, bringing new technology and innovation to this world in partnership with their customers, and seeing that turn into some of the impact that you just talked about. Most importantly, safety, like literally helping people come home safely at the end of the day, helping them operate more efficiently and sustainably. And so what motivates me is building an impact, and this world has just been an incredible opportunity to do that.
Yeah, you chose the right industry because I mean, what other industry touches all corners of the globe, right? All cultures. It goes really across borders and across boundaries. And you talked about being an innate problem solver. Well, this is the industry of problem solving. I mean, we're all doing it on a day-to-day basis, whether it's with technology, whether it's trying to get a product here and there's been some sort of weather event or delay, or you've got a timely event that you need to get the product to. How do we do it? How do we do it efficiently? How do we optimize? How do we get it there on time? So you definitely chose the right industry to be in.
It's interesting. We come at this problem from the technology lens. But myself, our co-founders, we are technologists by training. But what has been really incredible about building Samsara is the customers that we have been able to partner with, and I have been blown away by how operators, and many of the listeners of your show, are excited about and curious about technology, and they've welcomed us into their environments, and we're able to see their yards, meet their drivers, visit their dispatch centers, and really have these customers as almost co-development partners, where we're
Mhm.
able to learn about the problems that they're facing, really sit side by side with their frontline teams, and then go work with some of the top engineers in the world to dream up new solutions to these problems. And it's been, I think, a really powerful combination that's just getting started, but it's been incredible to be a part of.
Yeah, and what you just described is really the magic of this industry, and that's the people within that. And how we can come together, we can share feedback, we can be in very uncomfortable conversations that lead to innovation, we can collaborate. There's so much magic that comes, I think, with the people in this industry and how we work together. And you just described that perfectly. Now, you've been with Samsara since it was founded. And I read that it began with this idea that sensors and software could impact the world of physical operations at a global scale. So, talk to me about that vision and how you brought that vision to life over the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So this is actually the second company that I and our co-founders have worked on and built. The first you mentioned earlier, a networking company called Meraki. Meraki was building Wi-Fi networks in the early to mid 2000s. So think early days of the iPhone and then the tablet, when most businesses were standing up kind of enterprise business grade Wi-Fi networks for the first time, and they're trying to connect their smartphones and tablets and apps. And in the process, we got to work with every different kind of industry imaginable. They were all putting in Wi-Fi networks. And what fascinated us was when we worked with companies in kind of carpet off the space environments. Think a law firm or a financial services firm, or maybe a school or a hospital. They're putting in these networks and they were connecting great cutting edge software to it. They had access to all of this data and analytics and insights. And as we as consumers know, when you have that software, that technology, great things come out of it. We were working with customers in the physical operations industries as well. This is the warehouses, the logistics networks, the energy companies, the infrastructure construction companies. They were putting in these networks, but when we looked at the technology they were hooking up to it, what they had access to, it really felt like night and day. We saw a lot of mainframe technologies with
Mhm.
big screens full of green text. You want to change one thing, you're typing for 20 minutes, but we see a
Yeah.
lot of pen and paper, a lot of phone calls, a lot of manual process.
Mhm.
And we said, hey, if we can bring data and visibility and great software to these industries, there should be an opportunity to have incredible amounts of impact because they're just so big and so important. And so that was the genesis. And we said, well, actually, there's a confluence of technologies that are coming together, right? Thanks to the smartphone, GPS and connectivity and sensors and cameras are getting really cheap. So you can start putting sensors and cameras on everything. And now you've got wireless networks everywhere. So you can take all of the data from trucks and trailers and heavy equipment and assets and your frontline teams, bring it all into software. And then you can use this emerging phenomenon, which is, of course, AI, to take all of that data and not make it a bunch of charts and overload, but really make it useful. So that was the genesis. Fast forward to today, and I think we've been blown away by how quickly the customers have embraced the technology, and we're now serving tens of thousands of customers in many companies around the world, including many of the household names we think of when we think about operations and logistics, and just continuing to build new products and solutions every day alongside our customers.
Love that. Now, you were speaking my language when you said that green text. I remember those days. I'm probably going to date myself,
Hmm.
but I remember those days of the green text and like I had files stacked high, trying to put in the updates and, the amount of time I spent on the phone. I mean, I need to get those years back. So I totally get what you're talking about. And you took me a little bit down memory lane and then brought it back into the fact of this is where we are today, this is where we need to be today, and this is where you need to be today as well. So talk to us about that. You sort of gave us an overview of where you are now. Give us an overview of who you are, what you do, how do you specifically help your customers?
Yeah, great question. So, easiest way to explain this is in the context of a customer. So, let's take DHL, for example. We all know DHL. We see the yellow vans and trucks everywhere, like one of the largest logistics companies in the world. We started working with DHL many years ago because they were focused on increasing driver safety. This was in a period where there was extremely high demand for frontline labor. Vacancies were high,
Mhm.
turnovers were high, and they had lots of first-time commercial drivers. And they were operating under challenging conditions. And not surprisingly, when you've got tens of thousands of drivers on the road, you end up having a lot of accidents. You
Mhm.
combine with that all the new distractions that we have today. Your phone is constantly ringing. You've got all these apps, notifications, and we saw across the industry, including with companies like DHL, that keeping folks safe out on the road was becoming a bigger and bigger challenge.
Yeah.
And the cost of accidents was getting higher and higher. So, rising accident rates, rising insurance costs, nuclear verdicts, this was the problem. So we started working with DHL and many customers like them, starting with how do we put in a driver safety program. We do that
Okay.
with our dash camera technology. So we have a dash camera that goes in the vehicle. It's actually able to do AI so it can understand the driver's behavior. What are the things that they're doing well that they should be recognized for? And
Right.
then what are the things that are maybe putting them at risk, and how do you coach them on them and help drive those risk factors down? And then how do you connect all of those into a system where you can be doing that across hundreds or thousands, or in a case like DHL's, tens of thousands of drivers?
Mhm.
So that was the genesis. That's one of the things that we do. But they started seeing, hey, this data is also super valuable in helping me to streamline my operations and operate more efficiently. So we said we can now have this one system that'll handle driver safety. It'll give us location data so we can plan and manage our logistics and dispatch. We can handle all of our compliance through the system. We can look at our fuel utilization and where are we wasting fuel. We can look at our asset utilization, say, hey, maybe I don't need to buy as many new trucks as I thought I would need to.
Right.
And then we can actually, digitize the experience for end customers and frontline workers. And so it becomes a complete system to manage your operations, and it turns into results. So, for example, DHL was able to cut their accident related costs by about 49%.
Wow, that's a
We
big deal.
see huge deal. We see, many customers are reducing their accident rates by 70+% with the
Mm.
technology. So that's, people coming home safely at the end of the day. And we look
Yeah.
across our customer base, and if you just do the math on number of accidents, how many of them would be serious? There's probably about two lives a day that are being
Right.
saved, right? People who are otherwise wouldn't be with us are now able to come home to their families
Wow.
and go to work the next day. And then it turns into huge efficiency gains as well, saving fuel, saving asset costs. And
Mhm.
so these are the types of projects that we work with customers on.
I mean, we talk about, drivers really being, such an important part of the ecosystem. And we talk a lot, and we actually saw this through the pandemic of how people were really understanding the impact that the driver makes to everybody's day-to-day lives. And the fact that you can put their safety front and center for an organization, I mean, it kind of changes the game. It means that everybody really cares about what happens to their drivers. And I also hope that drivers feel cared for, because I think that's super, super important right now. And one of the things that when you were talking about it, I was sort of thinking about habits, right? There's a lot of different things that you and I do, probably drivers do, and they're habits. They're things that we don't even maybe do intentionally because we're just so used to doing them. And some of them are for us and some of them are not for us. And having this kind of system be able to not be like you know, the watch, but really reflect back on how we're spending our time, how we're spending our day. What are the things that we're doing that are helping us or hindering us? I think that is really amazing feedback that we can provide those drivers as well. So I really like the focus on the drivers and not only the safety, but also the prioritization and to give them a bit of a reflection of how they can be just better themselves, you know?
100%. And this idea of habits is very real.
Mhm.
And we actually look at other products that maybe we as consumers would use to change our habits. So think
Yeah.
about for health and fitness, you've got Peloton or Strava. Think about learning a language. You have apps like Duolingo. There's really effective ways that these apps can change habits, and it's through
Mm.
gamification. Hey, can I keep this streak going?
Yeah.
Leaderboards, friendly competitions, rewards. And so we've actually said, let's go build those types of experiences into our product. So
Nice.
if you are the risk team or the transportation team in a company, you're looking at all of these different metrics. Hey, are my accident rates going down? Is my fuel efficiency going up? Is my customer service increasing? What the driver is seeing on the other end of that is, hey, I have a distraction free streak. I've made it 50 hours on the road without checking my phone. I want to get that to 100. And if I do, I'm going to get recognized by my peers and my manager, right? Those types of gamification and rewards really helps drive behavior. And we've even made it such that many customers are running incentive programs, like making it fun for the driver, keeping them safe, helping them serve their customers, but also taking some of the savings that their company sees and turning around and turning it into incentives for driving safely, for conserving fuel, all of these types of good habits.
Hmm.
And really everyone ends up winning.
Yeah. Well, and we learn how to celebrate. Right. I feel
That's
like
right.
that's really important as well because what we do on a day to day basis in this industry is really life changing, right? It makes that global impact that I talked about in the introduction of this particular episode. And so I love that you're giving them sort of permission to celebrate all the wins, whether they're small or big. Now, I want to ask you, you just gave us that example of DHL, but who are your customers, right? Like I know you work across 5 core industries, but can you share those industries with us, but also let us know if companies within those industries need to look a certain way or maybe be a certain size to work with you? This is a very important question because the audience that's listening to this, if they love what they're hearing, they want to know that they're the right fit.
Yeah, we work with a wide swath of physical operations industries, and we work with customers of all shapes and sizes as well.
Okay,
So
great.
we have tens of thousands of customers on our platform, millions of vehicles and assets and drivers. We work with organizations across North America, Western Europe, multinational organizations as well. And it's really the set of physical operations industries that all end up relating to supply chain either directly or indirectly. So
Right.
many of our customers are core supply chain customers, transportation, logistics, warehousing, etc. Many of our customers operate an internal supply chain. So,
Mm.
company named Mohawk Industries. They manufacture flooring and carpet, and most of the time, if you're standing on a floor, there's a good chance that it was made by Mohawk. They run an internal transportation organization, and for them, supply chain from manufacturing to retail stores to end customers is a core part of their operations, and they use Samsara for that. We work with customers in energy, in infrastructure construction, who are building the roads and bridges that our supply chains rely on. The critical services like snow plowing and storm mitigation that
Right.
that keep supply chains running. So it's really the full spectrum. But this set of industries, from logistics to construction to city governments to food and beverage production to agriculture, if it involves physical operations, there's a good chance that we work with those industries and those leading companies.
Awesome. Now, I want to talk a little bit about what your customers are thinking about right now. This is a question that I love asking. You know, it kind of changes from episode to episode that I do. But I think it's really important that we sort of get a foundation of what's happening in the industry and the market right now. What do you think are some of the common challenges that they're looking for help to solve? Like, and what do you think are the opportunities that they're most excited about? Because, you talked about this before. There's so much in technology at the moment. There's so many different things that can be done, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. So I'd love to hear from you, what your customers are saying right now about common challenges and then the opportunities that they're excited about.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would say that there are a set of challenges that are evergreen. We've been working with the customers on these problems since day one. Many of our customers have been working on these problems for decades or more. These are safety, these are inherently dangerous jobs. Everyone's goal is zero
Mhm.
accidents. That job is never done. How do you keep up in the game in safety
Right.
becomes even more important today. As we talked about, accident rates are up. There's more distraction. The cost of incidents and injuries has increased dramatically as well. The cost of a nuclear accident verdict has grown from about 3 million dollars 10, 15 years ago to over 50 million today, right? So
Woo!
costs are astronomical, but most importantly, it's the human cost, right? We want everyone to come home safely.
Yeah.
So that is top of mind. Efficiency is top of mind, right? There are so many different factors that are putting pressure on bottom lines while customer
Mhm.
expectations are increasing. So hey, if it's more expensive to buy new vehicles or get parts for vehicles, is there a way that I can, instead of replacing them every 7 years, could I extend that life to 8 or 9
Right.
years if I can be smart and data driven about how I'm maintaining it? Are there ways I don't have enough people? Are there ways I can put my people to more productive use? Always trying to find ways to increase efficiency when things are getting more expensive and you can't hire enough people.
Mm.
The area that I think is new and in many cases the most exciting is this concept of digitization.
Mhm.
When we got started, talked about how there's lots of green screens, lots of pen and paper. Most frontline workers didn't have a tablet or device that they were using
Mhm.
for their work. That's changed, right? There is a digitally native set of leaders at many of these companies. They have all of the cutting edge technology in their personal life. They've actually connected many of their vehicles and frontline operations, and they're saying, "Hey, how do we really lean in? We see these advancements with software, with AI. How do we be on the forefront of this?" And
Right.
this is very different than it was 10 years ago. But we have people saying, "Hey, actually, it's not about giving me more data and more screens. It's how do we take all this data that we have and simplify it and make it useful, right?
Right.
How do I really use this technology as a way to deliver more for my customers?" And that's been a really, really exciting conversation for us to have with our customers and to be building these solutions around.
That is such a key perspective. I want to hone in on that word simplify. Because I think sometimes our overwhelm comes from overcomplicating some of the things that we need to do, or maybe the solutions that are available to us and how we just get started. And I think that's one of the reasons why sometimes we go back to spreadsheets, right? Because we're still talking about, 50 to 60% of supply chains are running on spreadsheets right now. And I think that's one of the reasons. Not only comfortability because they've used it for a long time, but also almost the simplicity of it. And they're worried about overcomplicating the process and getting too far into digitalization and not being able to rewind it if it's not working for them. And so I love the fact that you said, sort of keeping things simple. And that's sort of the exciting part of it right now, which is really, really great to hear. Now, I want to know how you work with them. Now, you've given us some really, really great examples, right? Already in this particular episodes. But I think exact solutions vary depending on industry, customer, but broadly, can you run us through what discovery, solution development, onboarding, and integration, what that process looks like? And this is a very important question because I get this a lot when I'm talking to a lot of vendors, is that we need to keep that process simple as well. And everybody wants to know what that looks like when they're going to go into a relationship with a partner. So, talk to me about that process.
Yeah, simplicity is key. Every customer is a bit different, but a lot of pretty much all operators have a set of key things that they need. Like they need certain sets of data, certain things that they want to know about, certain things just need to work out of the box. And because we work with very, very large customers, the Home Depots and DHLs of the world, as well as a lot of mid-sized businesses, we have built our technology and the way we engage with customers to be very fast to value, but also flexible. And so we have products that a customer can actually get up and running with in an afternoon. And typically that'll start with us introducing the technology to them, walking them through how it works. But then our design and engineering teams have really focused on making it such that it's plug and play, and right away you get value. And if you're a mid-sized business, you don't have a very large team, lots of systems to integrate with, thousands of drivers to do change management with, etc. You can actually get up and running in a couple hours or maybe a couple of days max, and you're off to the races and getting value.
Love that.
Now, if you're a Fortune 100 enterprise, you're probably going to want to have more customization, more integrations. You have the resources to say, how do I really tailor this for my environment? And so
Mhm.
we have built the product to have that flexibility. That's through different integrations, customization, being able to build custom AI capabilities, data connectors, workflows. And so we can work with customers on all of that and create really tailored solutions. But even for those organizations who maybe have the most specific and bespoke needs, we still focus on saying, hey, how do we get the technology up and running quickly and get you to value
Right.
quickly? Because no one in these industries could say, hey, I can wait 2 or 3 years for an ROI. We need to see immediate impact. So
Yeah.
we focus on speed, and then we focus on continuous improvement. So our business model, it is a subscription and it's a relationship. We don't sell a box and then move on. We actually work with our customers where we stay very connected with them, learn about their business, learn about their problems, and work with them on saying, hey, based on what you're trying to do, let's go do these take advantage of these new technologies together next. And in many cases, this is capabilities in the products that customers are already paying for. They're
Yeah.
able to get more and more value quarter after quarter, year after year. And so that's how we work.
Well, and I also think that the model that you're talking about helps with scalability as well. Like an organization just doesn't stay where they are at on day zero that you meet them, right? The whole
100%.
point of business is to grow it and to be able to partner with vendors like yourself to be able to help scale that business. And they want to know and trust that who they're working with on day zero is going to have that in mind and have the capability to scale alongside them because that's really important for organizations. And that's what you're talking about. Now, talk us through the platform itself. How can teams really run all of their operations from one place? And I'm going to call this unification, right? Like, what are the big benefits to the unification of bringing everything together into one place?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it starts with unified data. And historically, if we rewind 10 plus years, there were technologies for driver safety, for GPS tracking, for compliance, for digital documents and logs, etc. And these were siloed. They
Hmm.
had different data. They didn't talk to each other. You ended up with fragmentation. Nothing really worked together, and you ended up with a lot of complexity for users as they're trying to bounce between screens, copy and paste, move everything to Excel. It doesn't work. It doesn't scale, especially as you really ramp up how much you're relying on digital technology to run your operations.
Right.
So what we do is we have a unified common data platform where we're pulling in data from vehicles, from smartphone devices, from trailers, from tools, assets, all the different parts of the customer's operation, bring them into one unified data store. And then we have a set of applications on top, the application for driver safety, for fleet management, for asset tracking, for trailer management, compliance, et cetera. All of these are interconnected. And where this gets really powerful is we can actually understand what's happening end to end. Right? We can say, hey, we are about to dispatch this driver on this trip. They have a very high exposure to weather hazards on this trip because our data shows this is a particularly risky route from a weather perspective. We think about winter storms, et cetera. We
Mm-hmm.
can see the driver safety score and say, well, if I have to send someone out, I want to send one of my safest drivers. And by the way, we can make sure that the vehicle is properly maintained, its inspections are clean, it doesn't have any engine faults, the tires are properly inflated, everything's good to go, and then we can track it along the way. And then we can, actually do reporting. We can across all this data. When we coach a driver, we can be coaching them and on their entire performance, their safety, their fuel efficiency, their customer service. And we can actually really have visibility across all the different aspects of operations. So that's what customers are looking for. They want single unified data. They want everything to talk together, and they want it to be simple and easy for their frontline users. And so that's what we build in our system. But then, we know that you could never have everything in one system. So it's important that it can integrate with third-party
Right.
apps and third-party
Mm-hmm.
solutions. We have an integration marketplace with over 350 different partners who have connected with Samsara. So you can have specialized software applications, you can have equipment OEMs, you can have all these different technology products and data sources that can connect to Samsara and work seamlessly, sending data back and forth. So that's our approach.
Yeah, and simple and easy. I think in supply chain, we've traditionally been siloed. This sounds like it's going to give us a way to be able to collaborate internally, which I really think is important. I mean, I've got a sign behind me that says collaboration is the future of business. So I'm obviously very passionate about it. And I love to hear when software and companies are really thinking about how do we make that happen? How do we force that
Right.
collaboration internally? Because I think that's where we all kind of secretly know that that's where the magic is. But for
That's right.
some reason, we still stay a little bit siloed and we don't want to do that anymore. And
Well, and
so
collaboration is a fundamentally human thing, right? But it's
yeah,
really inhibited when each person has a different view of the world. And
yeah.
so, if the safety team has one view of the world, the operations team has another, the maintenance team has another, the compliance team has another, the CFO has a yet another view. They're all looking at different data that doesn't connect, that doesn't tie out. It's very hard to collaborate. Whereas if they have a consistent shared set of data, so they're all working from the same information, the same insights, the same analytics and facts, it's much easier to have that collaboration. And that's really the magic of an integrated system.
Yeah, and I have to bring AI into this conversation. Now, we can't talk about technology or supply chain without AI. And I think we're at like a really interesting place with it. In fact, that like companies want AI, but there's a lack of trust, there's a lack of belief in success, maybe, which is forcing us to look at processes a little bit differently, how we can utilize AI. What does useful AI mean? Can you talk to us about the Samsara intelligence, how you're leveraging AI to actually drive that impact that you were talking about for your customers?
So we started building AI into our products in 2019, and before it was as hyped as it is today, with very practical use cases.
Mhm.
Hey, how do we identify unsafe driving? How do we use AI to coach drivers to improve their behavior? And how do we ultimately reduce accident rates by 50, 70, 75%? Right? Very, very practical. And it's AI where everyone wins, right? The drivers are seeing, hey, this is looking out for me. This is keeping me safe. And companies save money and reduce business risk. So Fast forward to today, where the universe of what AI can do has increased so substantially, and the technologies and tools that are available are just mind blowing. Things that seemed like science fiction, a few years ago. We still approach it from that aspect of what are practical problems we can solve, and that really cuts through the noise. We talk to customers and they say, "Hey, we have this data. We know what we want to do with it, but we can't physically pick up the phone and call 100 customers
Right.
when we see there's a storm and we know there's going to be a delay." And we say, "Hey, actually, the AI can do that for you. And by the way, your customers are going to have a great experience." You say, "Great, let's give it a try." Right? They say, "We can't have as many in-person coaching conversations with our drivers as we'd want to." I say, "Great. Well, it turns out that the AI can actually be a companion to your drivers and help point out the things they're doing well, the things they can do better, and be a supplement in between the times where your
Mm.
coaches are able to get in front of them." They're saying, "Hey, I want to do more reporting and analytics and take advantage of the data. I don't have a data analyst available." We say, "Great, you can go ask the platform, please show me a report with comparing these metrics to these metrics and help me understand what's going on," and it'll actually do that for you, right? So it's all about using these technology to solve the practical problems that our customers bring to us.
Hmm. Well, and I think about the storm, the storm example. Sometimes you don't have 2 hours to call everybody to say, "Hey, we're in the middle of a winter storm. He's going to be late." You know what I mean? And I know it's kind of we're kind of in that era that obviously you should know because everybody knows about the weather all the time. But to call 200 people before that storm is over, sometimes it's over in an hour. You need to be
That's
able
right.
to do that more efficiency. So I love that. But then also, I think we have to think about the mindset around asking questions. So you said to ask the AI the questions of, can I get this report? Sometimes we go directly to that person, and if that person doesn't have time to really answer that question, then you're in limbo for the next hour, 2 hours, and you might need it right away. And so the fact that we might need to change the way that we operate in asking questions, I think is really great to point out, and it can give us everything at our fingertips that much faster. And that
That's right.
really invokes internal collaboration, which I love. So, anyways, I
That's
love that you
right. And
talked
what's
about that.
what's even better is when the AI can say, "Hey, you didn't ask this, but this is something you might want to know about.
Yes.
Organizations like you have found this information useful. Go check it out." And that's where we're going.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Now, you've shared a couple of case studies. Do you have one more that you want to bring to life for us? Like, I'd love to know what was the challenge that they had, what was the solution you provided, and what was the ROI and benefit?
Yeah, there are so many. I want to go back to Mohawk. We talked about Mohawk Industries, the
Yeah.
flooring and carpet manufacturer. It's pretty incredible. They started with safety, like many of our customers did. Really turned around their safety metrics, kept their drivers safe. They said, "What more can we do with this data?" They were able to reduce miles driven by 4.2 million. You're
Wow.
saving $7.25 million a year in fuel, doing the same amount of work for their customers, but doing it more efficiently.
Hmm.
And then the thing that really surprised me, we hear a lot about, say, reducing accident rates, reducing fuel costs, improving customer service.
Mhm.
Andy, their VP of transportation, now SVP of transportation, said to me, what was remarkable is in this process, the technology changed our relationship with our drivers. By
Yeah.
digitizing all these
Mhm.
processes, drivers were spending less time doing the things they didn't want to do.
Right.
And actually, they found they were able to get paid faster. They
Mhm.
were able to get better work. And we hear this from companies like Mohawk, like DHL, like Home Depot, many others. It really actually not only translates to bottom line savings, but increases the driver engagement, which
Yeah.
they really see measurably turning into lower turnover, lower vacancies. DHL, going back to them, they cut turnover and vacancies in half, right?
Wow.
That is game changing. That means that
Yeah.
everyone's really winning.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I hate to wind this down, but my last question for you, I mean, we began the episode talking about the vision that guided Samsara when it was founded. How do you see that evolving in the future, like alongside the industry? Where are you going? What's exciting that's coming up?
Yeah, the vision is very much unchanged. There are still so many unsolved problems in the world of operations. These are such big, important industries. And I think we're still in the early days of how technology can help improve safety, efficiency, sustainability for these organizations. And we are going to be at this for years and decades.
I love that.
What
I
I
love
think
that.
has changed, though, is the amount of data that we now have with these new
Mhm.
technologies allows us to build solutions that would have been impossible 5 years
Mhm.
ago. And now, from Samsara's perspective, because we built relationships with so many of these organizations, the most complex operations in the
Mhm.
world, and we can collaborate directly with them on what are the most important problems to solve, what would great solutions look like. We can turn that data and technology into really amazing products and outcomes that I don't think we could have dreamed of 5 years ago, and then we can make those available to the world at large. And that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, and I mean, some of it we don't even know what is possible. That's going to happen 2 years, 5 years down the road. There's a lot in the unknown that we're going to be playing with in 2 to 5 years from now. And so that's also exciting in the fact that innovation is going to change over the next few years and beyond that as well. Now, I always say that supply chains are about people. So are businesses, communities. Every day, millions of people work hard to deliver goods, keeping things moving, keeping the world turning. And I really enjoyed putting the focus on them. So hearing how Samsara works to make this essential work better, safer, and easier for organizations and the people that power them is really unique. And you can see that in the difference you're helping to make and how passionate you are about this. So, did you have a guess at today's big question? At the top of the show, I asked you by what percentage were Home Depot able to lower total claims in only 1 year with Samsara? Do you know this answer? I'm going to put you on the spot. Kiren?
So I knew this, and it has been increasing every month. So I'm going to ask you, what is the latest and greatest?
So, I have it at 65%.
Okay, that's what I had as well.
All right. Well, the Equipment Services Division saw a 29% drop in both mobile phone use and preventable incidents, cutting total auto liability claims by half. And the Rental Division also reduced speeding and phone use by 34%. So, with those kind of numbers, it really goes to show how smarter data driven operations really drive results, not only for the frontline workers, but also for the organization itself. So, if you want a partner to help you improve safety, efficiency, and sustainability of your operations, make sure that you head over to samsara.com. That's SAMSARA.com to learn more. And remember to subscribe, rate, and review the show. Check out more content from the best and brightest over on letstalksupplychain.com. I want to give a massive thanks to the team at Samsara for making this episode happen. And of course, Kiren, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Sarah. This was a lot of fun.
All right. Until next time, everybody, I'm Sarah Barnes Humphrey, and this is Let's Talk Supply Chain.